The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of Take Shape for Life health coaches or clients. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a physician before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Take Shape for Life team.
Didn't turn it off. Sorry about that.
All right, you guys. So happy to see you guys on our National Habits of Health call tonight. For those of you who it's your first time, welcome. You're going to get a taste of this and you're going to want to come back for more. My name is Sarah Flake, and Kat, say something, Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat Fuller.
Kat's my friend. You're out in Lehigh. I'm out in Las Vegas. And we're just going to be running through something tonight that we really hope is going to add value. We've got coaches on the call tonight. We've got clients. We've got people who haven't even started the Take Shape for Life program yet. We've got health professionals. So regardless of where you are, who you are, this is something that we're really hoping is going to help a lot of you people. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. Okay, share screen. Okay, Kat, are you seeing this?
There it is.
Okay, perfect. So tonight we're talking about being a mindful thinker. That might sound a little strange. Well, of course, if you're thinking, you're using your mind. But here's the trick. You've actually got lots of different parts of your mind that control what you do. And so we're going to do a little bit of education, give you a couple tips on how to be a mindful thinker so that you can start moving closer and closer to some goals that maybe you've been feeling stuck with or in a rut, where you think, oh, I don't know how I can change these patterns. So I'd like to start out just by telling my story. I am, I was a perpetual yo-yo dieter. Before I found this program, prior to 2012, I was going on and off with these 40 pounds for about 10 years. And, I knew how to lose weight, right? Everyone knows how to lose weight. But what we don't know how is to keep it off and long term, and what happens once you get it off. And so I did every kind of program imaginable. Every time there was a family event, I'd always show up looking great. And then I'd go home and put 20 pounds on in a month and more. Then there'd be another family event and I'd go on some crash diet. And so when I found Take Shape for Life, it was another one of these things. But I started it anyway because I had another family event. But this program came with a coach, and it came with a Habits of Health educational system. And I started hearing about all these different things that had nothing to do with the scale and had nothing to do with food, but were helping me feel more and more confident about keeping my weight off. Well, here's the thing. I had been doing the program for about a month and had seen some really amazing success. And I had a really bad day. About a month into my program, I had a bad day. I'm not going to elaborate, but it was bad. And that night, I went back to all my old habits. I started binging. As soon as everyone went to sleep, I went to the kitchen and I opened up the fridge and I just started pulling out all the food, stuffing it in my face, because trying to make this really bad feeling go away. And it had been like 2 hours and I was eating and eating. And I remember it was 2 in the morning and I was standing over the kitchen sink. I had a bottle of root beer in one hand and a plate of fettuccine on the other side. And I was weeping because I couldn't stop putting it in my mouth, and my stomach hurt and I wanted to throw up, and I felt so out of control. It was awful. And this is what I used to do all the time. I would just have these binges. So it was a terrible night, and I woke up the next morning and I felt terrible. I felt awful. I felt defeated. And something was different this time though, because when I woke up, I realized this was a choice I could make. I could go back to those old habits, but I had just spent a month learning that I was not the victim, learning that I could choose health, learning about mindfulness techniques. And I just decided that morning, you know what, I'm never doing that again. Never. I'm never doing that again. And I really dove into the Habits of Health, to my coaching. I decided I wanted to pay it forward. I wanted to bring people with me. I wanted to build accountability. And you know what? It's been 4 years and the weight dropped off. I lost 40 pounds and it hasn't come back. And I have helped countless people with this as well, both as a coach and just as friends. And it's been such an amazing journey. And so that's what we want to talk to you guys about tonight, is this is your choice. So, but some of you feel like you're stuck and like it's just this reactive thing going back to these habits. But we're going to talk to you about how to overcome that. All right. So, does this sound familiar? You know, what's holding you back? And for most people, it's all in here. It's your emotions that are lying to you. So I love this acronym, BLAST. It's so helpful for me. When I have a client who's struggling with the program or emotionally eating or having trouble on weekends, I just pull out BLAST. Bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired. Were you feeling any of those emotions? And most people can really quickly identify the emotion that happened before they did something that they didn't want to with their program. For me, boredom is huge. Like if I just see food and it's just there and I have nothing better to do, I want to put it in my mouth. And it's so simple and so silly, right? So take a look at this. What is it for you? Kat, what for you on this list? What's your biggest trigger?
I think for me, stress is the biggest trigger that I see immediately. And I still feel this even, and I'll tell my story later, but 3.5 years of being part of this program. And I still feel like this, like if something happens to me, then I immediately start thinking, what is it I want to eat right now? What do I need to make me feel better? And it's really interesting when you start recognizing these triggers in your body and your mind and your life. And it's just, it's a powerful thing to start recognizing them. And I think that's the first step.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, putting a name to what's going on. And now, 4 years later, I still feel all these emotions. You're never not going to feel these emotions. And every time I see a Kit Kat bar, I still want to put it in my mouth. The first time I see it, I think, oh, but then my brain says, you want to put it in your mouth just because you saw it. That's kind of funny. So, I've learned these other techniques that don't. So the first step is identifying your emotion. What is it? What is it for you? Let's start calling it what it is. Now, here's what's going on in your brain. I talked before about mindful thinking. So your brain has two different things going on when it comes to decision-making processes. It's this tug of war between two parts. The first is the limbic system. The limbic system is the first part of your brain to develop. Every newborn baby has a highly developed limbic system. It's basically your survival part of your brain. It says, if you're hungry, cry. If you're scared, cry. If you're sleepy, go to sleep. So your limbic system's just your survival mode, and it recognizes what's going on around you, and it tries to immediately put you at ease, so solve the problem. It's not that smart, but it's your survival part, and it's a really essential part of moving forward. The prefrontal cortex, however, doesn't even start developing until you're a little bit older, eight or so, and it's not even fully developed until your early 20s. Your prefrontal cortex is your Einstein. It's your amazing, brilliant, rational, cognitive part of your brain. It's the part that actually controls your limbs. It's the part that makes you sit up and get out of bed in the morning. It's the part of your brain that can look at 2 different nutritional labels and decide which one you want to put in your mouth. And so it's this tug of war between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex where you are able to find this happy medium. And you get to decide what your emotions mean that are coming from the limbic system and what you're going to do with them in the prefrontal cortex. So let's talk for a second more about the limbic system, because for so many years, I thought my limbic system was my brain. I just felt, well, I feel like doing this. My body wants chocolate, so I must have some chocolate deficiency. I better eat chocolate. I'm mad, and so I'm going to yell. Or, I don't want to get out of bed today, so I'm just going to lie here for a few hours and mope. That's the limbic system. It really just wants everything to stay as simple as possible. It's very, very habit-based, and it's not governed by your rules or morals. It's just governed by what's going to make it feel happiest at the moment. And so, for you, Kat, when you feel that stress, what is your limbic telling you? Give us an example of when you feel that stress.
Oh, I just think there's so many times in life when, we have 4 children at our house. We have 4 boys, and it's loud a lot at our house. And there are times when people are fighting or hurting each other or stressed out, or things happen at school that hurt feelings. There's so many different places in our life we feel stress or any of these emotions we've talked about. And, anytime there's an argument in the family, I think it's interesting. I'll be a little transparent about it. My husband and I we work together. We love working together, but there are times that we kind of, we're both emotional people, and sometimes we don't agree about things. And we used to go and eat. And now it's really interesting because we both go to, we have a different trigger. I mean, our trigger, we have changed our habit to something positive. Immediately my brain goes, I need to go get something outside, go get a sugar cookie or something that'll make me feel better. And then now, knowing what my brain is doing, it's so funny, we both clean the house. So when we're angry, we clean the house. And it's like we clean angrily, but we're cleaning the house, and it's a productive thing instead of this this limbic brain that just doesn't even care. It doesn't even matter. There's no logic to it.
Yeah. And, the nice thing about the limbic brain is it really does have a purpose. All these emotions and all these things that are telling you, we can take these and digest them and figure out what to do with them. But that happens in our other brain. So we'll talk about that in a sec. But something that was really fun for me was realizing I was not that limbic brain. That was a piece of what was going on, but that wasn't me. And giving a name to your limbic brain, so calling it, or the beast, or one of my friends calls it the brat. And when you hear this brain telling you crazy things, just think, that's what it says, but what do I want to do? I have a cat. Well, I used to have a cat when I was growing up who was just nasty. She was a nasty cat. But she would bring little dead mice to the back door both mornings, and I would open the back door, and there'd be a little dead mouse there. And, my cat wanted to make me happy, and she thought bringing this dead mouse might make me happy. So I named my limbic system after this cat, Blanche. She's trying the best she can, but I don't need that dead mouse. Pat her on the head, send her on her way. So give a name to your limbic system. That would really help you make that distinction. All right, now let's go to this next one. Okay, now our prefrontal cortex is fabulous. This is what I have been developing now for the past 4 years. This is what we teach all of our coaches and clients to really be mindful to develop. Your prefrontal cortex is where the magic happens. It takes all the data coming through your brain, all the emotions that you'll never get rid of, and it decides what to do with them. The prefrontal cortex is where you can set goals. It's where you can decide, what? Right now, I am on this medication and I'm not in this healthy BMI, but if I do X, Y, and Z, then I'll be there. The prefrontal cortex can think more than 5 minutes in advance. The prefrontal cortex can be mindful. It can take all this data, the kids yelling like Kat was talking about, and doing something productive with it, and, having this family time together. Like I mentioned before, the prefrontal cortex actually moves your limbs. And so even though sometimes you feel like, I just couldn't help it, I had to throw that dish, you could. The prefrontal cortex could have stopped you, but maybe yours is so weak that the prefrontal cortex is now paying more attention to the limbic system. So everything that we do with our bodies, other than our breathing and heartbeat and all that, pretty much goes through the logical brain. And Kat, at the end of this call, is going to talk about how we can strengthen this as well. So just know those are the two parts of our brain, and it's why you can feel crazy sometimes. I'm a very verbal person, and I talk to myself quite a bit out loud. And before I discovered this program, I really felt like a crazy person. I really did. And I would be having these arguments with myself. Does anyone else relate to that? It's like these two voices in your head, and you just want the one voice to go away, but it never will. It never will. And so when you start identifying it, and again, put that name on it, then you're going to feel a little less crazy, and you'll be able to start to process these emotions better. And then the other thing that I've learned with this is just because your limbic system says it's true, it doesn't mean it's true. I remember one time it was like a late night again, and I had my hand in the bag of Fritos, and I was eating these Fritos like crazy because I was late on a deadline. I was stressed out, and my brain was just saying, just eat this salty, fatty food, you'll feel better. And I'd been doing this for like 20 minutes, and I reached my hand in again, and I had this little tiny voice in my head, and it said, Sarah, how many do you have to eat to make this feeling go away? And this was in my very early days of discovering I had a prefrontal cortex. And I heard that little question, and I thought, there will never be enough Fritos in the world to make this feeling go away. Even though this part of my brain was telling me eat to make the feeling go away, my rational brain said, nope, there's not enough Fritos in the world. So Your emotions lie. They can lie. They really can. Be aware of that. These habits that we've had, look at this picture here of the tracks. Habits are there for a reason. They make our life easier. They make it more efficient. But a lot of habits that we have are destructive. And so when we're trying to change these habits, the limbic system freaks out a little bit. It doesn't want you to do that. But look at these tracks in the road. Imagine you're a car driving through these tracks. It's easy to go down those tracks. It's easy to eat out with your friends and just eat all the junk. That's easy. What's hard is to take the wheel and turn it out. And it's hard to get out of that rut. And even once you're out of that rut, you're treading new ground. And so as we're making these new habits, just be aware, it's really hard to break them. So you're going to be very motivated to do it, right? And then as we create new habits, it's something we have to do again and again and again to create these new ruts, these new grooves in our brain.
And this is what's so cool about the brain, Sarah, is that the brain is actually, you are able to change your brain. Just because you might have habits and deep grooves in your brain that are detrimental to your health, your brain has something called neuroplasticity, and it actually can be trained to change. And you can make new tracks. It's really quite a cool process.
I love that. And I'm not quite as smart as Kat. I just know that I don't eat quite as many Fritos anymore. But it's amazing and it's true. And so just give yourself permission to change. I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't do this or I can't do this. Well, you can, but you have to decide you want to, and you have to give yourself permission to change. And it's going to be hard. And so just know that wherever you are today, you can be someone different tomorrow. An exercise that I really like that's from coach Linda Spangle. She says, whatever you're trying to do, change your thinking and think, I used to be that way. I used to be a binge eater, but now I go to bed on time. I make healthy choices. So think about what you used to be, whether it was 10 seconds ago, and then say, but now and decide what you want to do going forward. All right, so let's go through some examples of the limbic versus the logical brain. I love this. So, you know that feeling in your throat when you see a food or something that you really crave, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna die if I don't have that. You guys ever felt that feeling? That's the limbic system. It's making you feel like, oh, you have to eat it because this is a special treat, or you have to eat it, otherwise, there won't be any more tomorrow, or your husband will eat it. We used to go out to dinner, my husband and I knew that if he finished his food before I did, his plate, he would get his fork and start eating my food. So I would eat as fast as I could because I thought, if I don't eat all this food, he's going to eat it. Like, that was my limbic brain. Another really common one is, oh, well, if I don't eat this cake, my host is going to be offended and she'll think I won't love her. So all these things going on in our head, start recognizing that it's your it. Now, take it over to the logical side. If you don't eat that, piece of cake that your host offered you, is she going to stop liking you? Is she even going to notice? Did you look around the room and see who else isn't eating the cake? How are you going to feel in the morning? Maybe your host is a little disappointed. Maybe she's like, oh, shoot, well, okay, well, whatever. How is that going to compare to how you feel the next morning when you wake up and you still have blood pressure issues? Or you're still at the BMI that's kind of scaring you, or you still have that joint pain. So look at the logical side of this. I love that question of, am I going to remember this tomorrow? Start really looking at your food. When I look at my food now, I kind of give it a little test. I say, okay, is this going to make me healthier or sicker? And it's just a really simple way for me to sort out the limbic or the logic and to figure out where that food craving is coming from. Oh, there's a girl. Kat is an amazing businesswoman as well as a health coach. And when she first started out, she kind of got a slow start. And I'm wondering, Kat, if you can kind of explain, like for you with your limbic system, what was going on there?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why people don't maybe share what they've learned with our program, whether you're a coach or a client or thinking about doing this. There's a lot of reasons that we look with our logic and think, I really like to tell people about this. I feel great, but I'm too shy. Or I'm going to find people who need my help. Or no, I might just offend them. And this happens with a lot of people. We're afraid, building our business maybe. Whatever it is in your life, even if it's not a Take Shape for Life business, maybe you've always wanted to build a business, but you think you can't be successful because your lying limbic system tells you that. how about accomplishing goals in general? But my house is too dirty. I mean, our limbic system will make endless excuses to keep things like change happening. Our limbic system hates change and it hates growth. So it just wants to keep everything status quo, like Sarah said, just as simple as possible. And if you're starting a business, whatever business that is, these are kind of some of the things, and anything in life that you want to be successful at. Look at those emotions on the limbic side. You're shy. You might offend somebody. I can't do this. I'm not a successful person. Or you make excuses. My house is too dirty. It's just an excuse. Your limbic system makes excuses for you in every aspect of your life, wherever you want to be successful. And your prefrontal cortex can outsmart that limbic system if you let it.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Okay, and then we'll just go real quick through this. This has taken me so many years to get this exercise habit. You know, I took care of the weight thing, and I feel like I'm in a good place with that. But, you know, think of that limbic logic tug of war with exercise. You know, oh, I don't want to spend time away from my kids. Oh, I'll be sore tomorrow. Oh, I'm so busy washing these dishes or whatever. Like, really, this limbic logic tug of war applies in pretty much every aspect of our life that we maybe aren't making the progress that we want to make. So, you know, the top tip is realize that you do not want to fight the limbic system. The more you fight it, the more you try to shut off the emotions, the louder it gets. And so when your limbic system comes to you with crazy ideas, just look at it and figure out why. Figure out why. Put the emotion on it. Is it bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired? Figure out what it's really trying to tell you in its crazy, awful language. And then take it to your prefrontal cortex and figure out what to do next. So, you know, now when I see that brownie sundae and I get that craving to eat it, I just think, maybe it's been 2 to 3 hours. Maybe maybe my fire alarm is going off. Hold on, Kat. Hold on. I'm going to mute, and Kat, can you take over for a second?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So I love the idea of a peaceful warrior. We have a friend, his name's Gordon Bruin, and he is a psychologist that specializes in addiction. And he taught us how to be peaceful warriors. And I love that he taught us that. And that instead of looking at good versus evil, like a lot of times we think our food choices or our life choices are an angel and a devil, that we're like good or bad. You're not a good person because you eat carrots, and you're not a bad person because you eat brownies. So don't be a peaceful warrior. Don't beat yourself up like, oh, I'm so stupid because I did that. I can't believe I did that again. Why did I eat that cookie? I'm so dumb. No, that is not a peaceful warrior. A peaceful warrior goes, you know what? I made that choice. I own my choice, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to be successful because I know I can. So.
Right.
Sarah's back outside. Sarah's outside now, so her house isn't burning down, I hope.
But Kat, can you share your story? I know we'd all love to hear it.
I would love to. So about 3.5 years ago, we're coming up on 4 this summer. I was frustrated, and I like Sarah, was a very successful yo-yo dieter. And I always managed to drop weight with some random thing. And in between kids, I mentioned that I have 4 boys. And after I had my 4th, I was just pretty miserable and tired. And I play a lot of sand volleyball, and my knees hurt. And my doctors were giving me shots and saying, you can't play. And I just decided, like, what if I did this program for a month? And the thing that happened with me, I lost 35 pounds. I've kept it off for 3.5 years, but that's just minor compared to the change that I've had internally. We talk about sometimes how easy it really is to change the outside, but the inside, you know, the 6 inches between our heads, our ears is harder to change than the 6 inches on our waist. And I have become intimately familiar with my limbic brain. And I've actually read a lot of books because of this, because of Dr. Anderson's books and The Habits of Health. I've really gotten into studying our brains, and I love what I've learned. And it's just been so powerful to know that you can strengthen your brain. You can change your habits. You can do anything you do. When we're little, when we were little, we were told you can be anything you believe. You can do anything you want. And then as we got older, we started telling ourselves we couldn't. And I know that we can all do whatever we believe we can do and whatever we want to do. And that's one of the things this program's taught me. And stress comes. And you know those grooves earlier? There's storms. There are storms that are going to wash the tracks out, and you might feel like you're starting all over and you can't see, and it's hard to drive, and you don't even know where the grooves are. But there's ways to strengthen that and to get over that. So I'm going to talk for the last few minutes about, there was a study done that Dr. Anderson referenced in an article in February. And I'm going to read a little bit of it just so I make sure I'm all about getting the right information. I don't want to share things that aren't proper. So it was in biological psychiatry. Researchers found that individuals who underwent mindfulness meditation to reduce stress, one of the most powerful triggers of habits of disease, like we just talked about all this, you know this, like emotional eating, loss of sleep, excessive drinking, they exhibited improved brain activity, and 4 months after the study had lower levels of unhealthy inflammation in their blood. That's a pretty significant thing, that we can be mindful. And, you know, mindful and meditation kind of are becoming buzzwords, but they've always been part of the habits of health since its inception. It's really been there forever. So let's talk about ways that we can, you know, let's talk about how we can strengthen our prefrontal cortex by reacting, mental state, and how our mental states affect us, and then talk a little bit about stress. So we can train ourselves to react more proactively. If you think, I mean, a lot of you ask yourself this question, do I automatically, I'm an emotional eater. Like, do I automatically go to that? You think that coping mechanism is automatic, but really it's a learned behavior. And sugary, unhealthy foods are so close, so easy to grab. I used to just go grab, you know, crackers out of the pantry or something just to shove in my face when I was stressed, and just like, oh, now I feel better. And, you know, you have your comfort foods, but mindful meditation, just stopping, challenging, and choosing can help with that. Our mental states are very physical. When we talk casually, we divide physical and mental into two silos. But in terms of our physiology, your brain mass has physical connections to every other part of your body. So what you think really does affect your physical self. So these subjects in this study found a more effective way to reduce stress, and that was actually visible in their brain scans. So you really can change your brain. And then stress is a major cause of inflammation. And, you know, this is just like, there will always be stress. There will always be storms. There will always be things that come up in our life. But as we learn to be mindful at handling our stress, then we will decrease our inflammation and just feel better. When you're not in an inflammatory state, you just feel so much better, and you're able to take on the world more. Inflammation causes a lot of issues. So I just have a few really quick, because we only have a few minutes left, exercises for your prefrontal cortex to make it strong. So one of these, and ironically, you're going to notice that really living the habits of health that Dr. Anderson teaches is strengthening your prefrontal cortex. Ding, 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 ding. That's the answer. But there's some specific exercises I want to talk about. One of them is to put on your rose-colored glasses. Create a positive future story. Picture yourself at your goal, whatever that goal is and whatever that time is. And now look back at yourself today and look at the actions you're taking toward that goal. Are they physical? Like Sarah said earlier, is this making me healthier or making me sicker? Follow a sleep routine. Healthy sleep, it's important. It will help with your brain development. And as you learn new behaviors at night when you sleep, they solidify, and that's when you learn, is when you're asleep. Sounds weird, but it's true. Move your body, exercise. Sports, dance, martial arts, yoga, whatever it is, move your body. Find ways to express gratitude. I love this one. Gratitude activities increase positive emotions, and positive emotion activates your prefrontal cortex. So as you do something positive, thank yourself. Good job. Thank you. Thank you for not eating those Fritos, Sarah. That was awesome. Offer and receive physical contact. Hugs actually do produce happy hormones. It's proven. So give people hugs. Get hugs. Do what you need to do to have some happy touch. And then the last one I want to say is learn to juggle. And this is so fun because just learn something new and engaging that gets different parts of your brain moving. They say juggle just because that's a fun one. But if there's something you've been looking at and wanting to do, try it. It'll fire new neurons in your brain, and it will actually strengthen your prefrontal cortex. So it's kind of fun, huh?
So cool. I love those strategies. If you guys really want to maximize on those, go to your workbook, lesson 3, and everything Kat's talking about, you can write it all down and really make specific goals for you. We are out of time. So I want to encourage everyone to, if you have some extra time, the doctor's call is starting right now. So here's the phone number to dial in, 712-832-8330. The passcode is 4366777. Either Dr. Anderson or one of our other health professionals is going to be talking about just really interesting things relating to this program and optimal health in America. So Kat, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. We're so glad you guys were able to be on tonight. Share the playback with your friends if you think this could add value to their lives. Like it's so fun to do it yourself, but it's even more fun to teach others. So have a great night, you guys.
The preceding audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some Take Shape for Life health coaches or clients. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a physician before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Take Shape for Life team.